The FBI vaults are a treasure trove of disturbing, shocking, and morally dubious recordings. The Bureau has taped a lot of people through the years, doing all kinds of interesting and sometimes shocking things. Here are disturbing tapes the FBI has that will seriously open your eyes. The fire that started in the Branch Davidian compound on April 19, 1993, coming at the end of a protracted FBI siege, did more than send 76 lives up in smoke. It also burned the Bureau's reputation into a cinder, destroyed trust in the government, and directly motivated the Oklahoma City bombing, according to historians. One key aspect of this fallout was the suspicion that the feds themselves started the fire. In 1999, tapes emerged that showed how the FBI had cleared the use of potentially flammable tear gas against the Davidians. However, the FBI was ultimately cleared by the emergence of another tape, an audio recording of a group of Davidians starting the deadly fire. PBS reports that during the siege, the FBI allowed shipments of milk cartons to go through to the Davidians. Unknown to those inside the compound, the cartons were bugged. And on April 19, 1993, one of those bugged cartons just happened to be lying near 9 Davidians as they discussed starting a fire. In the eye-opening tape, one Davidian asks about starting a fire, while 2 others discuss fuel. One Davidian even says, "We should have gotten some more hay in here." While there's little beyond that, the tapes sound like a bunch of people starting a fire on the same day the historic Waco fire happened to occur, which is difficult to chalk up to mere coincidence. If you were a journalist in the 1960s, you likely would have done just about anything for a glimpse at the FBI's official and confidential file, a very secret file held in the office of J. Edgar Hoover. It was the FBI director's personal stack of extremely compromising material on public figures such as Martin Luther King Jr., John Lennon, and even Eleanor Roosevelt. Basically, Hoover possessed an entire galaxy of sensitive notes on everyone in American life. Yet, even in this gigantic pile of blackmail material, one section would have stood out from the rest. According to reports, Hoover had tapped phone calls revealing President John F. Kennedy was having an affair with a 25-year-old woman named Judith Campbell Exner, who was also involved with the notorious mob boss Sam Giancana. As the Daily Beast explains, Hoover spent his entire career ensuring he had enough material on everyone else to keep himself safe, even if that meant wiretapping and spying on sitting presidents. In March 1962, Hoover reportedly scheduled a lunch with Kennedy just to tell him that the FBI had tapes of his affair. Although Hoover didn't come right out and say it, this was basically a veiled threat against JFK firing him. It's no wonder the guy stayed in power until his death in 1972. Most of Hoover's evidence was destroyed after his death, but not all of it. So there's still a chance the FBI could have a tape somewhere proving that one of America's most beloved presidents cheated on his wife. Even more exhilarating than the Golden Globe-winning and Oscar-nominated film American Hustle is the actual FBI sting operation that inspired it. In February 1978, the FBI turned a con artist named Melvin Weinberg into an undercover asset, encouraging him to lure in white-collar criminals by creating a fake Middle Eastern company named Abdul Enterprises and spinning tall tales of oil money that could be accessed by illegal means. And thus began the Abdul scam, more famously known as ABSCAM. By the end of the year, the scheme had gotten big enough for the mayor of Camden, New Jersey to take notice. But rather than shut Weinberg down, the mayor demanded a massive bribe and then offered a list of other senators Abdul Enterprises might be able to bribe in exchange for favorable treatment. Over the next year, hidden FBI cameras recorded 6 representatives and 1 senator offering to change laws in exchange for piles of cash. The tapes still exist in the FBI archives, and while the guilty politicians lost their seats, Congress also clipped the FBI's wings to ensure such an explosive undercover investigation couldn't happen again. Keeping up with the Trump presidency can often feel overwhelming, especially with the seemingly never-ending string of alleged scandals in which the former reality star is reportedly involved. Perhaps most notable of these scandals is the allegation that Trump paid off a former Playboy model named Karen McDougal to keep her from publicizing the fact that they'd had an affair. According to the New York Times, the FBI learned of the sketchy situation after raiding the offices of Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, in the summer of 2018. And acquiring an audio tape of Trump discussing the alleged underhand payments, reportedly using the phrase "pay with cash." The discovery was potentially huge news, as Trump having knowledge of payments to those he allegedly slept with could count as campaign finance violations. However, Rudy Giuliani, an advisor to President Trump and part of his legal team, insisted the words "pay with cash" had been misrecorded and were actually the words "don't pay with cash." Still, there's a realistic possibility that the tape really does prove what it seems to. If that's the case, the FBI is currently holding the first piece of audio evidence of a president committing high crime since Richard Nixon recorded himself offering to buy off a reporter. Maybe this means Trump will also get a guest spot on Futurama someday.